Hello, everyone, and welcome to the future of automated pipetting. I'm Simon from the SBT LabTech team. As you may know, SBT LabTech is a global pioneer in liquid handling technologies. We have many decades of experience manufacturing and selling high-end, low-volume solutions across genomics, drug discovery, and structural biology. Now, in recent years, we've expanded our product portfolio of liquid handling instruments with our Apricot range of accessible and versatile automated pipetters, which can be used across a large variety of different application areas. And so we're really excited to share our insights with you from our industry survey into trends within automated pipetting. Now, our panel of experts should hopefully be ready to join. Here they are. Now, let me introduce you to our panel. We have Jose Cuoto, our Senior Field Application Scientist. Hey, Jose.
Hi, Simon. Good evening, everyone.
Hi. Jose is based in Switzerland and has many years of experience with liquid handling and lab automation. And we have Dr. Anne Hammerstein. Hey, Anne.
Hi, nice to see you all tonight.
Good to see you too, Anne. Anne's our product manager based in the UK, and she brings with her a deep wealth of both scientific and technical liquid handling knowledge. And our third member of the panel is Kevin Hugh. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Simon. Hey, everybody.
Hey. Kevin is our senior sales specialist. He gets to see the, how shall I put it, the inner workings of our customers' labs right across the US West Coast area. Great to have you all on board tonight. And so without further ado, let's turn to our survey findings. Now we're just going to run through some of the highlights from the survey, some of the key facts that we've picked out. If you have any questions during tonight's presentation, please just post them in the chat and we will do our best to answer as many as possible at the end. Okay, so the first part of our survey looked into adoption trends within automation. And one key finding that really stood out was the sheer number of labs that now have access to an automated tool. In fact, 63% have automated liquid handlers in place. But perhaps what's even more interesting is that 40% of those who we surveyed are benefiting from an automated pipetting solution that offers them varying levels of full walk-away capability. So maybe a question for you, Kevin. Is this a trend that you've seen in our customers' labs?
Yes, Simon, definitely. People are learning through experience that handheld pipetting only brings you so far. When you're trying to scale up in productivity, the handheld row-based or column-based pipetters are just, they're either not cutting it or they're causing a lot of users repetitive wrist injuries over time. And also, the automated liquid handling scene or industry is actually become much more affordable these days and more accurate over the years. So it just makes sense to, at least try and transition over. And, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? So it's always good to keep an open mind and see what's out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good to hear. Right. Okay. And so, Anne, what are some of these common application areas that are now being automated?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole range of applications that can be automated, and we see all of them being automated to a degree. But I think if you're just starting out, there's some really easy wins out there. And, like Kevin said, it's the repetitive tasks. It's things like copying plates. It's setting up serial dilutions. These take a lot of time. They're more error prone because you can skip a row, you might skip a column. So these are the really easy wins. But then once you get hooked on automation, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think in the survey, we looked a little bit deeper as well into the actual amount of time that people are spending on those repetitive tasks. And yeah, we found that an incredible 70% of those who we surveyed are spending more than 1 hour per day on manual pipetting tasks. And if you just kind of let that sink in, among the labs we surveyed, I think it was something around like 40% employ more than 10 staff who are performing these manual dispensing and pipetting tasks every day. So if you do the maths on that, I mean, let's just say that the potential for cost savings and also just relieving highly skilled researchers from these hours of repetitive tasks is really huge. What are your thoughts on that, Jose?
Well, shouldn't researchers use their high expertise, their competences and skills to focus into the essential? So
Yeah.
we do have, a solution for everyone. And from the entry level with the S1 to a high-end pipetting robot like the DC1 or the Firefly. So to be considered, such a, robotic solution can be really amortized in a very short amount of time.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And maybe if I just bring you in, Kevin, here, what are some of the sort of key areas where, maybe researchers are spending a lot of time on manual liquid handling?
Yeah, I think you've touched on it. Jose's touched on it. It's most of the time spent is setting up plates, doing zero dilutions. I've been to many labs where we've showed the demos, and one pipetter could decrease their pipetting time of 4 different people to down to from 4 people doing for 3 hours. They can do it with 1 hour with one machine. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, I can see that. So, Anne, you alluded there to quick wins in automation. What are some of these opportunities that are out there?
Yeah, and I think we've touched on this a little bit, like Kevin said, plate replication, serial dilution, these are quick wins. But if I take a step back, when people think about automation, they oftentimes think about how do I start my day and how do I finish it? And then if you think about automating all of that, that would be a huge task. But the wins are actually in very specific areas and still sort of moving plates in between stations. So I think it's just really asking yourself at what step rather than what application do I spend all this time, and then making the wins there. That's how I would look at it. You don't have to automate end to end to realize most of the benefits of automation.
It's really insightful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. In our survey, we kind of delved a little bit deeper and had a look at lab professionals who don't have access to an automated tool. And among those participants of the survey, we found that more than 40% are spending 3.5 hours a day each on manual pipetting. And do you think there's maybe a blind spot for areas where automation could make a really significant difference in boosting research productivity?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think as scientists, we're trained to work in the lab, and pipetting is almost second nature to us. And we expect to spend significant amounts of time in the lab. I think we rarely tally up just how long that is. And, like Jose said, how much better we could perhaps be spending our time. And I think, as we enter this post-COVID world and skilled labor is really becoming an issue, maybe we should be asking ourselves that question a lot more frequently and be really wise about how we use our time.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess maybe Kevin, you can speak to this. Are customers perhaps sometimes surprised at how easily you can set up an automated workflow?
Yeah, definitely, especially to those who have never used it before. We work with a lot of startup labs, a lot of small incubator groups, and their first time seeing our instrument, seeing the software, they're pretty surprised that we can just show them within 30 minutes, and then just takes another 30 minutes to train them to optimize their protocols. That's definitely one thing that wins them over.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's lots of all the benefits. So yeah, if we go to the next slide, I think the benefits that we looked at in our survey. So we asked participants to tell us what they saw as the key benefits from liquid handling automation, and right at the top there we have increased rate of throughput, closely followed by improvements in data quality, so increased accuracy. Maybe is that so? The way I kind of see that is that automated liquid handling solutions are solving a problem because people are pointing out these benefits. Maybe Jose, what are users telling you about their sort of workflow challenges and particular pain points?
So throughput, reproducibility, accuracy, and minimized use of reagents are really among the challenges and pain points faced by the researchers. I hear that really very often. Automating the pipetting steps not only contributes to solve these challenges and pain points, but as well addresses the concern for the repetitive nature of routine preparation. It frees researchers' time to focus on essential scientific activities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I guess there are so many benefits, and you mentioned a few of them there. I guess one of the ones that we're quite interested in as well is miniaturization, which also came up in our survey. Maybe Anne, when are labs kind of ready for that miniaturization step?
I think as soon as the cost of reagents becomes really a major concern, there's actually a pretty broad range of assays that could benefit from miniaturization. And by decreasing volumes, if you have the right technology to maintain the accuracy and the precision, that bit is critical. But with the right technology, you can realize very, very significant reagent savings very quickly, and instruments can pay for themselves quite quickly as well. So you don't need to be an automation expert to actually make that leap. I think as soon as you're feeling the pinch, you're probably likely to benefit from it. But people take all sorts of different routes. So sometimes we see people first starting out with large volume, more conventional automation, and then sort of trying to dial down the volumes, hitting maybe a bottleneck there, realizing the precision and accuracy goal. Or some dive straight into solutions that are designed to handle the lower volumes. So both routes exist.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and Jose, you were talking about throughput there. From the survey, we found that on average, labs are processing up to 100 samples per hour. So I don't know, Jose, does that mean that liquid handling automation is now essential?
Yes, definitely. Time, we all know it's crucial. Liquid handling automation not only allows to increase throughput, but most of all, accelerates fundamental research, new drug development timescales, diagnosis of passion diseases. And at the end of the day, it contributes to a better life for each individual. So yes, definitely yes.
Yeah, it's that acceleration and the value that this then comes out of it. Yeah, so Kevin, what advice do you give customers looking to kind of scale up their operations?
The best advice I can give is, like, for example, always plan for the future. There's a lot of people that when buying instruments, they're planning for their project right now. Oftentimes, for the same instrument that you're looking into, maybe for an additional feature or something, it's additional 5 to, let's say, even 20K. But if you were to buy the instrument, a whole new instrument later down 2 years down the line, it might cost you 3 times that, because now you have to buy a whole new instrument. You might have to trade in the old one, and then if you would have spent that initial investment, maybe 2 years down the road, you look back and the instrument that you currently have already has the capability you're looking for.
Yeah, those ROI considerations. Yeah, definitely. We'll come back to them in a sec, I think. But first, maybe if we go to the next section of our survey, we kind of delved a little bit deeper into the challenges that people are facing. And yeah, the top challenge that people mentioned was data quality. Really is the #1 challenge. So maybe Anne, can you explain? I mean, it's an obvious question, but why are labs still having issues with data quality?
Yeah, this is an age-old story, actually. There's been lots of reports, right? There was a Nature study, I think, that I said major cancer studies are completely irreproducible. And I think it's important to understand that data quality and data reproducibility, there's a number of factors that can contribute to error. There's, of course, biological variation, there's variation in your reagents, but there's also the process. And I think the process is something actually where you can get a really tight grip on controlling that and ensuring reproducibility between operators, between instruments. And I think that's why automation is such a strong supporter there. Even if maybe throughput isn't your primary concern, the quality of your data and the reproducibility, the standardization, they definitely should be. And I think our survey really reflects that mindset in people's attitudes there.
Yeah, that's really fascinating and definitely borne out in our findings. Jose, do you have kind of any general advice for best practice when it comes to data?
Well, Anne has really pointed very, very, really key points. To me, achieve high quality data, liquid handling automation plays really a central role because it secures essential parameters like the precision, the accuracy, the reproducibility. And by partially or fully automating your workflows with a tailored solution to your needs, it definitely contributes to get a top-notch data quality.
Really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to, there's another area of challenges that we identified from the survey, and that's with the liquid handling instruments themselves. So it's not all plain sailing. We asked our participants what the main issues were they faced with their current instruments, and we really got back a very clear picture. I mean, the bulk of the challenges that people are facing are all kind of centered around usability, flexibility, and also, I guess, just difficulties programming, interacting with the software for these automated systems. Jose, do you want to speak to that?
Definitely. Well, complex to set up, time-consuming, not user-friendly, difficult to program, lack of flexibility. I definitely have heard these issues often. You know, researchers shouldn't need to be software nor robotics engineers when automating their workflow on liquid handling instruments. And software definitely plays a key role. The lab automation solution should adapt to the user and not the way around. And this is what I really believe. And, you know, at SPT LabTech, our users, the scientific community, are always involved when it comes to new developments. And the outcome of such initiative, combined, you know, with talented SPT LabTech team members, leads to intuitive, versatile, and easy to use lab automation instrumentation. And as a proof of concept, you know, when I'm providing a training to a new SPT LabTech handle user, it doesn't take any longer than 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on the chosen model, before they are ready to go. So.
Great, yeah. So things are changing, things are moving quickly now, and people, yeah, yeah. And I guess maybe Jose's kind of covered it, but we're already in this paradigm. But why has ease of use become so important?
Yeah. Well, I think it's also to do with, who is using automation now. And I think when you say that paradigm shift, that's what I really see. If I take just a quick retrospective view, 20 years ago, liquid handling automation was for high throughput screeners, right? These were tools developed to get a lot of data points, but the users were quite an elite little group. And maybe in that particular context, it's okay to have very specific solutions that are very engineering driven. But nowadays, we're democratizing liquid handling, right? Any R&D lab would probably benefit from using that. And with that has come a very clear user demand for more user-friendly instruments, which we as an industry, I think as a whole, have really spoken to. And at the end of the day, users still have a choice, especially when they're only getting started. If you have something that's complicated in the lab and there's a huge barrier to training and adoption, at the end of the day, it won't get used, because however fast it is in copying my plate, even if that takes only 5 minutes, if it takes me half an hour to set up, I haven't gained anything time-wise. But I think things are really changing. The usability angle is really at the forefront of many vendors, and it's really encouraging to see that.
Wow, that's really insightful. Great. Okay, so maybe if we move on to the next step, which is when labs are starting to look at solving some of these challenges and evaluating their liquid handling instruments. We asked our participants, what were the key considerations for them when they're looking to purchase a new instrument. And once again, dispensing accuracy, so accurate data was once again at the top there, along with price and that ease of use. But Kevin, you're probably best placed to answer this one. I mean, what should labs look for when they're evaluating a new automation tool?
So, I mean, if we look from the customer standpoint, there are a few fixed variables, which are budget, application need, and the size of the instrument. Well, what can we put in the hood, or what can we put on our benchtop? And then the separate things are going to be support and consumables. So when we judge on that, it's just I had a conversation with one of the customers recently, and they said that, I mean, they work with so many different kinds of companies, so many different automation equipments. Ultimately, it's how easy it is to get started, right? Do I need someone to support me while I get started? And let's say I do need support. How fast is the support? And so those are the kind of things that you should look at. You definitely need to also look at efficiency, what makes sense, and what kind of time can it help me alleviate from being in front of the instrument. So one of the biggest buzzwords this whole year and the previous year was walk away capability. How can I kind of give myself more time to do other more valuable things rather than stand here and just be using the pipetter the whole entire day?
Wow, yeah, really useful points there to consider. Well, let's move on maybe to our final slide, I think, from the survey. So we also asked lab professionals what they value, what they like about their current instrument, as well as what they didn't like. Yeah, again, it was ease of use, which was the most mentioned aspect that they liked. What's the kind of feedback we're getting, Anne, from customers?
Yeah, I mean, the survey mirrors very much what I hear, because once an instrument is in a lab environment, users ask themselves, how does that benefit myself day to day? And if it's easy to use and I don't have to think about it an awful lot, well, that's something I want to use. And of course, speed and throughput, time savings, again, these are things that help me as an individual to reach my daily goals that little bit faster. I can spend more time planning and so on. I have to say accuracy, precision, and reproducibility, they're interesting ones, because I think they're almost a given. I don't think anyone nowadays would buy something that is second rate. So I think that's sort of the benchmark for the industry, and everything else follows after that. But that's just my personal perspective.